Kelly, for you, I mean, you've kind of touched on the fact that it did change what you were doing, because it freed you up to go and do the presentations and the pitches. There were three of you started the business, three friends. How did it feel bringing other people into that kind of unit of friends? Because they always say that, you know, there are various different, I can't remember exactly what it is, but somebody drew me a diagram once and said, with 3 people, there are 3 relationships. But when you go to 5 people, there are something like 20 relationships. And when you get to 10 people, there are 50 relationships. So how did it feel bringing somebody else into that? Was it difficult for you, and do you think it was difficult for them?
Yeah. I think it was very difficult in that, with there being the 3 of us, where similarly to yourselves, Joanna and Emily, where your relationship and your duties in effect kind of changed with additional employees. You know, our roles also needed to change as well as we took on more staff, and what we needed to do quite quickly is revert back to looking at the 3 of us and the skills that the 3 of us had, and how we could almost kind of divide those skills in making sure that we were overseeing staff whereby, you know, we could support those staff effectively based on our backgrounds. My background, I'm an occupational psychologist, and Jonathan's background, he's a psychiatric nurse, and Emily's background, she's a very experienced business manager. So the way things operate now is Jonathan and I very much oversee things at an operational level. So we support the managers going out and doing risk assessments, care plans, and really kind of getting across to new employees and new staff the ethos of the company, and ensuring that the support that we provide to individuals is of a standard that we would be happy for our own family members to receive. And that's really important to us and something that we're extremely passionate about. And for Emily, as an experienced business manager, she very much oversees the corporate functions really of the service we provide. So that's things like HR, payroll, marketing, all of those kind of core areas that need to be worked on as the business grows. Things like payroll and things like that as well, which have obviously become larger as the organisation's grown. And
again, going back to, I'm going to press you on this. Was it uncomfortable bringing other people in? Did it feel as though they were breaking into a...
The 3 of us were very twitchy, and I think that's normal when new people start, because it's your baby. You know, you've taken huge risks already in kind of jumping ship from where you've worked previously. And to set up an organisation not knowing how successful it's going to be. And it was a long while before any of us had any holidays, you know, because it was almost that we didn't want to leave it, you know, and just to check that things were running okay. But I think with time and with experience and with employing staff, that we got more experience in employing as well. So we were able to employ really high caliber managers and coordinators who, you know, now it means that we can take some time out of work, not that we do that much, but we can. The option is there, and we know that things will take over quite nicely whilst we're away as well. But we were extremely twitchy about new people coming in and delivering a service that was about our reputation, really.
And for you, Emily, you know, you're kind of doing this on your own, presumably making phone calls, going to shows, doing the sewing. Was it good to have other people around you, or, you know, did it feel as though it was disturbing the peace?
It was good in a way. I think that the thing that I hadn't anticipated was I thought, I'll get another person in, they'll be able to do everything I do, and it will just be so much easier. And I think what I forgot was, because I've been doing it so long it had been automatic for me that someone else, they got to learn it all from scratch. And I think I expected it to immediately lighten my workload, and in effect it sort of doubled it, because I was having to not only do what I was doing, but I was having to explain everything from the beginning to somebody else. And at first, because like a creative business like Joanna, you think that what you're doing, you think it's impossible to teach someone else. And especially we work with very expensive fabrics and everything, and you're kind of sitting there thinking, oh my God, she's doing it wrong. Okay. And you're trying to be really understanding and things, and you're kind of thinking, okay, we'll just explain it again. And it takes a while before you think you can trust them, that sort of go out for lunch and they won't have done something by the time you get back again. And I think developing that trust, once you've kind of got over the first person and you realise that if you go away to a show, when you come back, the office will still be intact, everything's okay, then I think it becomes easier. And now, because I've had some people there for a while, they can start explaining to the new people coming in, and it's good for them to be reiterating it to someone else. It helps them confirm it in their minds. But I think also the first person I had, I felt like I was still learning so much. I kind of felt a bit like it was the blind leading the blind, running our first proper accounts end of year, and I was trying to teach her how to do it, and I hadn't done it before. So I was kind of reading the book at night thinking, I don't really know what I'm doing, and then having to go and explain to her, like, yeah, I think we do it like this, thinking, oh God, I hope I'm right. So it was difficult having the first people. It's kind of letting them into your world that you've been just you on your own. But I think once you've kind of got that first person, it becomes much easier the more people you have. And I think it's good if you have a positive experience with the first people you have. Like the first person I have, we just clicked. As soon as she came for interview, I knew that we were on the same wavelength. She wanted the same things out of the business that I did, and it worked out very well. And I think having that first positive experience then kind of gives you the confidence to sort of let more people in. And obviously everybody probably has a negative experience with a member of staff that doesn't work out, but because we take so many of ours have first been work experience students and then become employees, we have that kind of flexibility to kind of try them out, see how they work within our team and how they understand the business before actually making a sort of proper commitment with them to working in the company.
And having taken on your first person and now taking on more people, and particularly in your case, Kelly, do you feel that you're in a much better position to understand what to ask people?
Yeah.
Did you have any idea what you needed to ask them in the first place?
I think when I first started interviewing people for my business, it was mostly people to do like a 6-month work placement from a university. And at first I thought I was looking for a particular type of character that would fit with the company culture, even though it wasn't that considered at the time. That's not what I was thinking. I was just thinking they've got to fit with the Trend Bible way of doing things, even though I couldn't have described to you what words might be related around that and how I would describe the culture of the business. And it's a very, very difficult thing to do when it's your business. You can do it with other brands and other businesses fairly easily. And I think I was trying to find somebody that would fit with that without really knowing what that was. And then that means that you do make mistakes. You do find people that you maybe think are nice people. Oh, I could work with that person. They seem like a nice person. On paper, they've got the skills. They can use the particular software that I would want them to use. But I hadn't at that stage found out how qualified they were to use that, how extensive their knowledge was. So things like, they might say on paper they can do something, but how well? How do you know? And for me, certainly in my business, it's not just about that interview. They've got to demonstrate lots of different skills, and I can't find out everything I need to know in a 20-minute interview or a half-an-hour interview. I need them to come and work with me. I need to be able to throw things at them 10 times a day, because that's how my business works. It's fast-paced. It's very exciting for the right type of person. But if you're highly stressed and you don't deal with pressure very well, it's never going to work. The people who really thrive are the ones who have ideas themselves quite often and want to put things into work very quickly. They don't shelve things, they act. And so that's a real characteristic now that I'd look for, that somebody's very motivated and excited about the business, and they don't go, oh God, you know, we've got 5 more jobs that have come on board. They feel the stress of that. They go, excellent, right, where do we start and how do we plan that in? But at the same time, I have to support those type of characters with people who are very orderly, very planned, very systematic, and people who love doing that side of the business, because I don't love doing that. So I've got to surround myself with people who are good completer finishers, because I'm ideas driven and I'm front end of the business. I don't have time, I don't have the inclination to tie up all the loose ends, but I know that it's important to, and I know that somebody else can do that for me. So I find people that can do those jobs as well. And at the same time, we have a really good system that I've done for a couple of years now, that I started with my students. Actually, it was before I took on anybody full-time. And we've got a folder on our server, and it's called the How We Do Things folder. And in there is a list of every single job you will be asked to do, from answering the phone to sending an email, to going to a trade show, to taking photographs. It tells you how to take photographs at a trade show. They should be close up, they should be in focus, they should be clear. Because we've spent hundreds of pounds sending somebody to a trade show in Paris to come back with blurry, out of focus photographs that are too small and we can't use them. So you know, I think the expectation there is that you should, I always say there's no such thing as common sense. Just forget that there is, and always describe things to people in a way that you presume they have no common sense. And it sounds awful, but you know, this is what we expect from you. This is exactly what we would like from you. And if you lay those foundations down, then you can't be disappointed when somebody comes back and says, oh, I did this and I know that I've made a mistake, or you know, the chances are they'll come back and say they know they've made a mistake, rather than them saying, we didn't really know what we were sent there to do. So that idea of having How We Do Things documents for everything in the business, and it has to be, you know, maintained as well, because what works this year might not work next year. But that really is excellent, because if I don't have the time to train somebody, or for example, this week I've got 2 extra freelancers in the studio that I've interviewed and met once, but I know they can do the bits of the job I need them to do. But if they get stuck, I don't have the time to devote to them, to sit down with them and talk them through things. But I can say to them, if you look on the server, there's a document there that will talk you through it. If you're stuck after you've read that, come and get me and I can help. So that's really, it's been painstaking to build it up, but it's really freed up a lot of time for me personally over the past sort of year or so.